Okay, you got your brother out to the water there? We got him. He's a neat shade of blue. You should see this, Feely. Whoa, I never seen blue skin like that before. He looks like Papa Smurf. Buffin, can you talk to us? Buffin! What's he saying? I don't know, but he sure does have an interesting rhythm inside of his body. It's kind of like. Oh, shut up. This is Voices in My Head, Episode 8, Part 2 of 3, with the people from ListenUp audiobooks. And enjoy it. Basil, over to you while we try to thaw out Buffin. Oh, that is an interesting shade of blue.
So that covers editors, and you talked about private contractors. And do you guys pretty much work round the clock? Because I know sometimes I'm in here editing because I mostly work at night, and I think a lot of narrators and actors prefer to work at night. It's nice and quiet. And I'll send an email at 2 o'clock in the morning my time, and Nick answers like right away. I'm like, dang, is he a vampire?
Well, he is. It's the creative arts. It's, recording and studio people and musicians and artists, and they don't sleep.
We're a bunch of weirdos.
Yes.
That's what it comes down to. But ultimately, I think with the 13-week project, that precedent is set that from the get-go, they realize that we're working with narrators from all over the country, which I think you're our most extreme narrator geographically. But
congratulations.
So you got that going for you. But so yeah, they do adjust their schedules according to who they're working with. So.
And I imagine it'll be hard. I mean, I'm 4 hours behind you guys, and and then if you got someone going with the UK, that's another 8 or 9 hours the other direction. So let's see here. Supernatural universe. What awards and recognitions has ListenUp got? On your website, it says award-winning, and I know you mentioned that your owner has a Grammy.
He does. Also has 2 Emmys. And we are nominated for 3 Audies this year. Been nominated for a few in the past. So that's exciting.
That is very cool. That is very cool.
Racking them up.
Yeah. Oh yeah, you're gonna get that wall of victory, and that's what you'll have to do for future broadcasts like this: is have all the trophies on the wall behind you with spotlights on them. Yeah, a spokesmodel on each one. So you guys do work. I know you mentioned that you've become a full publisher yourself now. How many titles have you already worked, or what you got in the pipeline for the full publishing side of it?
We have 14 ListenUp published titles out right now. We just started last.
And that's original ones from you guys, right?
Yeah, so we've bought the rights for those. There's one that's in a totally original ListenUp. It's called Funny Story, and that one was written by one of our narrators who's a really incredible playwright, and he originally wrote it just to be heard. We had to put it on ebook in order to get it on Audible, but it's supposed to be a book that you listen to rather than one that you read on paper. So that one's really fun, and there's a few more that are really awesome we've done. We did Searching for Grace Kelly recently, Trident's First Gleaming by Stephen Templin. We've done quite a few, and they're all really different and really fun.
So you guys cover all the genres. You just take whatever comes your way that's a good quality book.
Yep.
So,
yeah, that's the goal.
Excellent. Well, I know once I get my next book published, I'll hit you guys up for the rights, the audio rights. I've recorded all. That's how I got into this business. Was actually I was a writer first, and I recorded all my own novels, and but I just did it myself, and at first podcasted them as serialized, like a radio drama thing, and then Audible went public, and I put them on there, and it's been a great time. But it sure would be nice to have a big machine behind me, instead of me doing everything all by myself. So let's see. How would an author or small publisher come to you to get a project narrated? Let's say a person like myself. I've written a book, or a small private publishing house that has 3 or 4 authors that they work with, and they want to get it narrated, but they don't want to do the ACX route on their own. They want to have some real teeth behind it. How would they approach you guys to do that?
That would probably go to our publication acquisitions department.
Or May, if it was just for production.
If it's just for production, if it's something that they just want to produce and have, and then they take the audio and do it.
The rights.
Yeah, that would just go through our client liaison, May Middleton. And it's all just in-house, so people would actually either email us here or call, and we just would direct it to the appropriate person.
Mm-hmm.
If it's something where they're interested in us buying the rights to the book, then that would go through our publication acquisition department.
So that's two different avenues there, and I hadn't thought about that. That's either producing it and then you just give them the finished mastered wave files and say, here you go, you're on your own, or you guys do the whole shebang. So the one, they would be paying you for it, and the other you would be buying it from them and running with it on your own. Now, when in that second scenario, do they retain any rights to the audio, or is it becomes yours?
It all comes down to the agreement between the two parties. Some are still somewhat involved in the whole process, and it's based on how large the book is, what kind of community is going to purchase the book, and if that person should be involved for media reasons and social media reasons and public.
Yeah, so they have the option. It depends on the contract. Some hold on to some percentage, and we split those, and some we buy the whole rights, and some, if they wanted to come have us produce it but not sell the rights, we could still distribute it through our site, so that they would definitely get a higher percentage from us than they would from going just through Audible. So they could still hold on to the rights and distribute it differently.
So it'd be almost kind of like the royalty share kind of deal that Audible does. Interesting. Very interesting. What's the cost involved to an independent author if they wanted to do something like that? If they wanted to, well, both scenarios, if they wanted to just have you make the package and then they'll go through ACX and upload it themselves, or have you purchase it from them?
It completely depends on the project. Yeah, it's totally varied. It depends on, do they want multicast? Do they want original music? How long is the project? Do they want to narrate it themselves or hire a narrator? If they want to narrate it themselves, do we have to rent space in another studio, or can they come in? So it's really completely varied depending on the project.
Now, I've noticed a lot more multicast books, or maybe it's just I've noticed them and they've been there, but is there an uptick in the number of multicast books coming out?
I think there is, and I think one thing I've seen recently, which I find scary, is they're doing something where it reads more like a play, where they'll have two narrators who read every line that person would say, and I think that's a nightmare for editors. It sounds cool, but it seems like the editing time would be at least 5 times what it would take.
Well, I mean, it's like doing this right here. I got this little 30-minute podcast I do once a month, and it takes me a week to edit all the video pieces together, put in whatever effects I'm going to put in there, and subtitles and so on. And yeah, without the magic of the leprechauns, I don't know that I would actually get it done in a reasonable amount of time. So if a narrator wanted to be taken into your fold, someone like myself comes along and says, please feed me, what would they do? How would they get involved?
Send us an audition. We have a site, we have a page on our website that has the whole thing listed out for them, but they'd send a demo to our casting manager, and if we liked it, we'd put it in for regular and have them audition for specific titles.
Oh, cool. So it goes title by title, or once they got in there and they're on your list, you guys kind of got an idea of who fits what. And
we hold general auditions as well as specific typecasting for specific books that we're buying the rights to. But yeah, we hold
we're trying to hold them.
Guys up on that, because I've kind of typecasted myself into a corner with a whole lot of horror and sci-fi and blood and guts books, which I enjoy. I actually do have fun with them. But I wouldn't mind doing something along a different line. And do you find that narrators get typecasted a lot?
We try not to, but a lot of times our clients will request a certain narrator because they've done certain books in the past. So
I think it is a little slightly unavoidable.
Yeah.
As much as we try. But
Well, it's like I was talking with someone on Facebook about this the other day. I said, I do a lot of horror and thrillers primarily, and so my voice has gotten recognized as one that if you're listening to this voice, someone's going to die in the next few pages. And but I would love to do children's books. And one guy wrote and said, "We don't want you to read books to our children, Basil." So, oh, thank you.
Inevitably, it comes down to what does your voice sound like? Because if you sound like you've just smoked a cigar and drank a bottle of scotch, you probably would not be doing children's books in a sense.
At least not for a normally functional family type children's books.
Dependent upon the book itself, but typically.
Yes, today we're going to talk about safety on the streets.
Exactly.
Shut up and listen. Let's see. If a narrator want to, I already asked that question. So, do you guys work only with established narrators, or now you mentioned you got this training school going on, so that kind of answered that question to begin with. You guys are
Not really. We don't do that.
But we do hold general auditions, and we've had some narrators who are wonderful who have never narrated a book before. So we don't require that. We just require that you sound good.
excellent. So, what are the qualities that a person is looking for? Because there's a fair amount of newbies that listen to this podcast, and a lot of folks. I had a guy yesterday, a guy from Portugal, who listened to one of my audiobooks, decided he should critique my audiobook. Actually, he critiqued the book itself, the grammar and the writing of the book, which was written 10 years ago, and it's a bestseller, but he felt I could really improve on it. So I was like, okay, that's interesting. And but it turns out English is his second language, second by a long stretch, and B, the writers that he was comparing it to, he was like, you should write more like this guy right here. And I looked it up. The guy has one title in English and one title that's available only in Germany. And but this author decides he's going to translate his own book into English, and he's going to narrate it himself for Audible. I'm like, okay, well, that's interesting. What level of training is he going to be able to step into with you guys? And is the training that you offer something that's going to give him a realistic picture of whether or not he can hack it? Because there's a lot of people that want to do this walking in off the street.
Well, initially off the bat, I think the first question is, do you want to narrate audiobooks? Because a lot of people come in looking to do voice acting and voiceovers, and they've done commercial work, and it's very short. So do you want to narrate for 4+ hours a day? Do you want to sit in this booth with this engineer and read this book in its entirety, depending upon how long it is? Is that something that's appealing to you? And then, if they've got the stamina, if they understand and can read,
yes,
and can also storytell, that's very important. It's not just reading a book, it's you have to bring to life the story. Do you have character voices? Do you prepare prior to the book? So are you going through and making notes of, I don't know how this is pronounced, this is a foreign word, I don't know where to find this, pronunciation, who do I go to? So all of that, we have a multitude of people here to help. Yeah, do you fidget a lot? We have an entire team of people to jump on board and help with all of that. But I think the initial base talent needs to be there. Being able to read, being competent, being able to communicate, being able to know when to stop reading, having the stamina and the longevity to go through the entire book. And then, of course, our ListenUp Academy that we've just launched, we do all training courses, how to get started in an audiobook. What do you need to do to be somebody who's getting booked regularly as a narrator? How to do character voices, how to do accents, where to go find resources for that. So we're really trying to expand and educate as outside of the booth, but also we have directors inside the booth who will provide feedback as much as possible and kind of try to pull out the storyteller in you.
Hey, Feely, I think I can be an audiobook narrator, what with all the accents and all of the different things that I know how to do because of my languages and stuff. Oh, you think you can be an audiobook narrator, do you, Berthold? Well, I tell you what. Here, let's do this test. You read this script, okay? Read this script right here. Yeah, you read this script and go all the way through it. And if you make any mistakes, don't make any mistakes. And see if you can become an audiobook narrator. Okay, you ready? Okay, ready. And action. Oh, that's what they do in the movies. Shut up. Read the book. The Wee Free Men by Terry Pratchett. Chapter 1. A Clang Well Done.
Some things start before other things. It was a summer shower, but didn't appear to know it, and it was pouring rain as fast as a winter storm. Miss Perspicacia Tick sat in what little shelter a raggedy hedge could give her and explored the universe. She didn't notice the rain. Witches dried out quickly. The exploring of the universe was being done with a couple of twigs tied together with a string, a stone with a hole in it, an egg, one of Miss Tick's stockings, which also had a hole in it, a pin, a piece of paper, and a tiny stub of pencil. Unlike wizards, witches learned to make do with a little. The items had been tied and twisted together to make a device. It moved oddly when she prodded it. One of the sticks seemed to pass right through the egg, for example, and came out the other side without leaving a mark. "Yes," she said quietly, as rain poured off the rim of her hat. "There it is. A definite ripple in the walls of the world. Very worrying. There's probably another world making contact. That's never good. I ought to go there, but according to my left elbow, there's a witch there already." "She'll sort it out," said a small and for now mysterious voice somewhere near her feet. "No, it can't be right. That's chalk country over that way," said Miss Tick. "You can't grow a good witch on chalk. The stuff's barely harder than clay. You need good hard rock to grow a witch, believe me." Miss Tick shook her head, sending raindrops flying. "But my elbows are generally very reliable." "Well, what do you think, brother?" That's pretty good. God rest ye, Mr. Pratchett. God rest ye."